This kingdom Jesus keeps talking about. The one he says himself is grows from a little mustard seed into a big tree. Like a little leaven in a lump of dough that leavens the whole loaf. It starts small and it grows big. It starts from the inside and it moves outward. It starts with God choosing to set his love on you. Christ purchasing redemption for you by his blood. And the Holy Spirit applying that redemption to you and changing you. And when he does that in the lives of his people, it changes things. That sounds hard. It's easier to point out there at what everyone else is doing and blame them for why I'm unhappy. That's true. Hypocrisy is easy. But it's also plain silly. Jesus shows us how silly it is in his illustration about the guy with the log in his eye who goes to his brother with the speck in his eye. Can you imagine a man with a 2x4 sticking out of his eyeball, going up to his brother and complaining about a little speck of sawdust he's got in his? What Jesus alerts you to here is your ability and propensity, how ready and willing you are to drag that plank around by your eyeball, scraping it along the sidewalk as you go, to walk up and find fault in somebody else. That's what we're prone to do. It doesn't sound easy, but you make it look so easy. Hypocrisy is so easy. But what Jesus wants us to see is that hypocrisy is ridiculous. It's a hilarious illustration. We should laugh at how absurd that is. And then applying that back to ourselves and our treatment of others, we should be ashamed. Every bit as ashamed as a man with a gaping head wound should be in condemning somebody with a paper cut. Hypocrisy comes easy to us, and Jesus wants us to be aware of it. Wants us to be at least as angry with your own sin as you are with others. That will ensure your judgment is a righteous judgment, and that's not something Jesus condemns. That righteous judgment is not something Jesus condemns. Again, more on that later in coming weeks, but the reason there's nothing wrong with that is because it brings about healing. Okay? It doesn't bring about hurt, it brings healing. It's being salt and light is what it is. If you remember that sermon on salt and light, we said that salt helps good things grow and keeps bad things from growing. Remember that? You know, you can't do that without judging. What are the good things? What are the bad things? What's light? What's darkness? You can't figure that out without judgment. But our judgment must be a righteous judgment according to God's standard and not our own. And it starts with us. We don't look for it to happen out there before we look for it happening right here in our own lives, in our own families, in our own church, in our own towns.